Hello, fellow welders. Almost 5 years ago, I bought this Reboot RMD 1550D, which is no longer available, as a mixed mode welder that can do stick, MIG, and TIG. I really don't do stick, but I was replacing a MIG welder that I'd had previously for 20 plus years. And so I got it primarily to do MIG welding. My last MIG project was on some thin material, and while I completed it, it was pretty ugly looking, and I wanted better control on thin material. So I decided to go ahead and add the TIG equipment, especially because the TIG torch that I had in my Amazon cart for 4 years or so, which was $100 and some. There was now one available for 50 or 60, so it was a done deal. And then I found out a lot of things I did not like. My expectation would be that the TIG torch would plug in the same place and have access to the gas flow, but that's not the case. There is a separate gas hookup for this. And then I found out it was lift TIG. So you touch the electrode against the workpiece and pull it away to start the arc. But wait, there's more. The torch has a valve on it that you have to remember to open before you start your work. And if you don't open it, things go ugly fairly quickly. So this multi-mode, which was a good deal back then, really isn't anymore. You can buy 3 of these things now for the price I paid for this back then. So this video is about the process that I went to make this thing a bit more effective, at least for me, trying to learn how to do TIG. And I'm still learning, but I really know how to sharpen electrodes for sure. Hold on one moment. First, I wanted to get better control of the torch when I was ending the run. In order to break the arc, you lift the torch away, and if you don't do that good, you will really bugger up your practice well. And so that was not working. I saw a video where a couple of people built a pedal and used a knife switch and to break the arc, and sparks would fly, and I said, okay, let's do that. So I bought a knife switch, and I was looking at hooking it up, and I said, wait, there must be something better. I wonder if there's a power relay with the capacity to handle something like this. I looked, and there are power relays available. The one I bought, 250 amps. My Reboot welder is maximum 150 amps on 220, and I run it exclusively on 120 volts. But I got the 250 amp capacity. This is a normally open relay, so when power is applied, it closes. I added a battery and a switch so that when this switch is pressed, power is applied to the relay, closing the contacts. Then and only then is the table or workpiece hot and ready to initiate an arc with the electrode. A wonderful addition. The ground from the welder goes into one connector, and then the other is connected via a clamp, which is also then clamped onto my welding table or the workpiece. I choose to do it this way because should I ever go back to do MIG welding, which would be from fairly heavy duty stuff, I can just hook this to the input terminal and we're all set to go. That worked like a charm. I can now break the arc, leave the torch in place for the cool down. That was great. Unfortunately, there are other problems. Remember, you don't control directly the gas flow. You have to be turning valves. And unfortunately, after quite a bit of practice, I forgot to turn the valve on. And as you can imagine, I blew several holes through my workpiece until I figured out what was going on. So to solve that issue, I changed the configuration so that now the switch would feed not only the relay, but would also trigger a programmable relay so that when I hit the switch, it would turn on a valve that would let the gas flow, and then after I break the arc, I'd have 5 seconds of gas flow for the cool down on the workpiece. So these are all of the components necessary now to have a much smarter TIG setup. When I press the switch, the table or workpiece is grounded with this relay. This programmable relay immediately activates the airflow or argon flow. So when I release the switch, this breaks the ground, breaking the arc, and a timer begins for the afterflow. And after that period of time, this closes and there is wonder. So this switch turns everything on, or gives power to everything. So there's the 5 seconds, and then that can be changed depending on the work that I am doing. When we press the button, the relay closes. This relay closes, opening this switch. Pressure flows. Then when I release the button at the end of the weld, we have the countdown. And then the valve closes here. This is fresh. I did some welds with just breaking the arc the last few days of practice. This part of the setup was just done today, and so far everything is working great, wonderful, and marvelous. And so it's just a matter of practice, practice, practice to get better at TIG welding. As the description has been going, hopefully I've put items and pictures up on the screen where they can be found. My total input money-wise was $53, not counting this battery and this switch, which I already had on hand. This battery Brand new would be $23 as I saw, and this switch is $70. And I have many of those lying around, as well as the wiring and connectors as well. So it is a much more effective welding process now with this change. I hope you find this interesting and useful. Let me know if you build one or something similar to it. Thanks for watching. Have fun welding. Back to practice. Bye. Here is a detailed walkthrough of what I did. Starting at the battery, positive goes to the switch, which is then split with one fork going to the power for the timer and one fork feeding the switch at the torch, which then returns and comes back and feeds the trigger center connection of the timer, and then feeds power to the power relay. Ground is split, providing ground to the programmable timer, and then the other one going to supply ground to the power relay. The power input for the programmable timer also feeds around to the relay side of the timer. Then on the closed position, it's normally open. On the closed position, that then feeds power to the switch. I neglected to say that ground to the switch also connects at the ground port of the programmable timer. The Argon hose for guarding the torch, in my case, was a 1/8 inch inside diameter hose, and so the control power valve comes in a 1/4 inch as well as a 1/8 inch NPT. So this is a 1/8 inch NPT to 1/8 inch hose barb. And then I chose to fasten it with Oetiker clamps on either side. And that's the only interruption in the gas flow. Switching on the power. Power is immediately available to the programmable timer. This has to be on at all times to receive the trigger. You cannot have power and trigger at the same time. If you do that, it will power up but miss the trigger. When the switch is depressed, it then supplies power, positive, as a trigger to the programmable timer, which then supplies power to the air valve, and then of course the other branch returning from the switch here supplies power to the power relay. Now I have turned on the regulator, and we'll apply it so that you can hear the outrush of the argon. That's it. I'm loving it. Don't know about the durability of this, but for $16, I think I'll gladly buy another one. So far, after several days of welding at approximately 47 amps, no problem at all. Thanks again.